Hello students, how are you all? Today I am going to start a new chapter, biomolecules. The chapter has 6 marks weightage in your PUC examination. You will get 6 marks from this chapter. From this 6 marks you will get one mark question and you will get one 5 mark question. So one question carries 1 mark, one question carries 5 marks. The total weightage from this chapter is 6 marks. The most amazing thing about the living system is they are made up of non-living atoms and molecules. What is the meaning of this point is, for example, you can take plants. Plants are a living system. Plant is a living system. The plant is composed of non-living atoms and molecules. The molecules, like you can take carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids, vitamins, lipids, enzymes, etc. So what we understand from this point is the living systems are made up of non-living atoms and molecules. So the living systems are made up of various complex biomolecules like carbohydrates. First one is carbohydrates. The second one is I am taking proteins. Next one is nucleic acids. Nucleic acids. And the fourth one is lipids. And the fifth one is vitamins. And the sixth one is enzymes, etc. So the living systems are made up of non-living things, biomolecules like carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids, lipids, vitamins and enzymes, etc. So in our PUC syllabus we have first three, they are carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids. Now let us discuss one by one in detail. First we will discuss about carbohydrates. Next, carbohydrates. The carbohydrates are defined as the optically active polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones, or the compounds which produce such units on hydrolysis are called as carbohydrates. First, let us write the definition of carbohydrates. The optically active polyhydroxyaldehydes are ketones. Aldehydes or ketones are the compounds which produce such units on hydrolysis. The compounds which produce such units on hydrolysis are called carbohydrates. So from this definition we need to understand what is optically active, and polyhydroxyaldehydes are ketones. So we need to understand what is optical activity and polyhydroxyaldehydes and ketones. And the third one is the compounds which produce such units on hydrolysis. Now let us understand this definition by taking an example. For example, I am taking glucose. Mathematics formula is C6H12O6. Glucose is C6H12O6. So first we have to write the structure of glucose. So 6 carbons is there. I am writing first carbon, this is the second, third, fourth, fifth and this is the sixth. 6 carbons in a straight chain. Then at the first carbon there is a CH group. So this is the first carbon. This is the second carbon, this is the third, fourth, 5 and 6. At second carbon OH is on the right hand side, hydrogen is on the left hand side. And the third carbon we have to write OH is on the left hand side, hydrogen on the right hand side. So remaining all the carbons places OH is on the right hand side, the last one is CH2OH. So this is the structure of glucose. In this structure at third carbon. So this is the first carbon, this is the second carbon, this is the third carbon. At the third carbon, OH group is on the left hand side. This is the glucose molecule structure. Now if you look at this glucose molecule, what we find is how many number of OH is here? 1. This is the 1 OH group, this is the second OH, this is the third OH, this is fourth, and this is the fifth. So there are 5 OH groups present in a glucose molecule. So this is a polyhydroxy compound. This is a polyhydroxy compound. Then many number of OHs will be there. So many number of OH will be there. We have to call it as a polyhydroxy. So more than 2 OH groups will be there. We have to call them as a polyhydroxy. And one more thing is this is aldehyde. This is a aldehyde group. So this is hydroxy group. Already we know this is hydroxy group. So the polyhydroxy, many number of hydroxy groups is there and aldehyde group is there. So that we have to use it as a polyhydroxy aldehyde. This is the polyhydroxy aldehyde. And they can take another example of fructose. Fructose, because here is ketone is there. This is in the case of aldehyde, but polyhydroxy aldehydes are ketones also we have. For the ketone purpose, I am taking a fructose. The fructose formula is C6H12O6. The molecular formula both the cases is same, C6H12O6. Then you can write the structure of fructose is first carbon, this is the second carbon, third carbon, fourth, fifth, and this is the sixth carbon. Right. At second carbon there is a C double bond group. C double bond. And the first carbon this is a CH2OH. First carbon, this is the second carbon. Here, if you take this is the third carbon, at the third carbon, the OH group is present on the left hand side, like this. OH group is present on the left hand side. So remaining all the cases, we have tried OH group is on the right hand side. This is last one is CH2OH. So remaining valencies of carbon we have to satisfy with the hydrogen. So this is one hydrogen, here is another hydrogen, here is a hydrogen. Now look at this case. So this is a ketonic functional group, ketone. So here is a fructose has ketone functional group and glucose has a aldehyde functional group. Both the cases molecular formulas are same. C6H12O6, here also C6H12O6. But what is in these two cases difference is molecular formulas are same, but what is the difference between is in the case of glucose there is a aldehyde functional group. In the case of fructose there is a ketone functional group. This is the ketonic functional group. Now it is also a polyhydroxy compound. Look at this. This is one OH, this is second OH, this is the third, this is the fourth, this is a fifth OH group. So fructose contains 5 OH groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fructose contains 5 OH groups. So more than 2 in the sense we have to call as a polyhydroxy. So the fructose is a polyhydroxy compound like glucose. And in this case the functional group is ketone. In the case of glucose the functional group is aldehyde. So aldehyde, here is aldehyde, here is the ketone. So glucose and fructose are polyhydroxy compounds. In the case of glucose the functional group is aldehyde. In the case of fructose the functional group is ketone. That is the difference between the main difference between the aldehydes and ketones. So the carbohydrates are polyhydroxy aldehydes are ketones. And the compounds which produce such units are hydrolysis. And before that we have to understand what is the optically active. The optically active in the sense the compounds, the organic compounds which rotate the plane polarized light either clockwise or anti-clockwise are called as optically active compounds. What is this point meaning is I am taking this is the ordinary light. The ordinary light vibrations is there in all directions. For ordinary light, the vibrations is in all directions, those vibrations in all directions. If this ordinary light, this is ordinary light. This ordinary light is passed through a Nicol prism. This is a Nicol prism. When ordinary light is passed through a Nicol prism, you will get a plane polarized light. Those vibrations in only one plane. Look at this. Vibrations is in only one plane. Here is the vibrations of ordinary light is in all directions. But in the case of plane polarized, PPL, plane polarized light, so those vibrations is in only one plane. When this plane polarized light is passed through a compound, when a plane polarized is passed through a compound, organic compound, if this plane polarized light rotates clockwise like this, clockwise, so this is a clockwise. The plane polarized rotated in a clockwise like this, so it is rotated in a clockwise direction, and some compounds will rotate plane polarized towards anti-clockwise like this. So some compounds will rotate plane polarized towards anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise. So the compounds which rotate the plane polarized light either clockwise or anti-clockwise, those compounds are called as optically active. Optically active in the sense the compounds which rotate plane polarized light towards right or left, we have to call as right or left clockwise and anti-clockwise. We have to call them as optically active. Then how do you identify how these aldehydes and how these glucose and fructose are optically active compounds, how they are optically active? So the optical activity of the compounds can be identified by using chiral carbon. Then we have to take one more example. I'm taking a glyceraldehyde COH, H and CH2OH. So this is optically active compound. So how do you identify this is optical nature? Is this is the carbon. This carbon directly attached to the 4 different carbons, 4 different groups. So this carbon attached to the 4 different groups, this carbon is called as a chiral carbon. We have to call it as a chiral carbon. So if the compound contain chiral carbon, they are optically active. If the compound contain at least one chiral carbon, they are optically active. So the carbon attached to the 4 different carbons at 4 different groups. The carbon attached to the 4 different groups, we have to call as a chiral carbon. Now coming to this case, these are optically active or not. These are the glucose and fructose, nothing but carbohydrates. Optically active or not, we have to check. Suppose I am taking this is the carbon. This carbon one side attached to the OH, one side attached to the hydrogen, another side is OH, another side is attached to the CHO. Here is carbon. This entire group we have taken as a 1. Then it is attached to the 4 different groups. It is a chiral carbon. Come to this carbon, OH, H, this is one group and this is another group. So this is also a chiral carbon. Come to this group, OH, H, this entire group is a one part, this group has a one part. So this is also a chiral carbon. Look at this case, OH, H, here is entire, this will be taken as one group, so this also is a chiral carbon. But this is not a chiral carbon because one side is one group, here is one OH, but there is 2 hydrogens here. So all groups are not same. So all groups are not different. So 2 groups are same either, but all groups are different. Then only we have to call it as a chiral carbon. So this is not a chiral carbon. So glucose has first chiral carbon, second, third, 4. The glucose molecule has a 4 chiral carbon. So chiral carbon is there. The compound is optically active. Optically active. So the molecule contain chiral carbon, they are optically active. So glucose molecule is optically active. Optically active polyhydroxyaldehyde this is. Coming to the glucose fructose case. So in this case, if you look at this carbon, this is not a chiral carbon because 2 hydrogens attached to the carbon. Two groups are same, hydrogen and hydrogen. So all are different. Then only we have to call as chiral carbon. These 2 are same, not chiral. Come to this hydrogen, OH, this entire part will be taken as one group, this entire part will be taken as another group. So this is chiral carbon. So look at this, this is a chiral carbon, this is a chiral carbon, but this is not chiral carbon. So fructose molecule has 1, 2, 3 chiral carbons is there. In fructose there is a 3 chiral carbons, in the glucose there is a 4 chiral carbons. So fructose also contains optical activity because chiral carbons is there. Optical active polyhydroxy, it is a ketone. Optically active polyhydroxyaldehyde. This is a optical active polyhydroxy ketones. And next one is the compounds which produce such units on hydrolysis are called as carbohydrates. This statement meaning is suppose I am taking glucose, C6 sucrose I am taking. So C12H22O11. C12H22O11 upon hydrolysis will give the products is C6H12O6 plus C6H12O6. One molecule is glucose, one molecule is a fructose. So this is the sucrose. Sucrose is a carbohydrate. Sucrose is a carbohydrate. Look at the statement. The compounds which produce such units on hydrolysis. So this is the compound upon hydrolysis will producing glucose and fructose. Such compounds are nothing but they are optically active polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones. So any compound if you take the upon hydrolysis will produce optically active polyhydroxyaldehydes and ketones. So those compounds also called as carbohydrates. So this is the definition of carbohydrates. So this definition has this depth meaning. So what is this depth meaning is optically active polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones, or the compounds which produce such units on hydrolysis are called as carbohydrates. So this definition has this depth information. Next, the carbohydrates are also called as sugars. The carbohydrates are also called as saccharides. Sorry, the carbohydrates are also called as saccharides. The carbohydrates are also called as saccharides. The carbohydrates are also called as saccharides. So saccharide means sugar. Next, the carbohydrates which are sweet in taste are called as sugars. The carbohydrates which are sweet in taste, are called sugars. Example for this case, we can take glucose. Glucose is a carbohydrate, it is sweet in taste. So fructose is a sugar. You can take sucrose. Example, glucose, fructose, sucrose, etc., lactose, etc. And another important point is the carbohydrates which are not sweet in taste are called as non-sugars. The carbohydrates which are not sweet in taste. The carbohydrates are not sweet in taste. Or simply, the carbohydrates which are not sweet in taste are called as non-sugars. So this is the definition of carbohydrates. Next, classification of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are classified into three types on the basis of their hydrolysis. They are, the first one is monosaccharides, the second one is oligosaccharides, and the third one is polysaccharides. Let us write them first. Saccharides classified. Carbohydrates, nothing but saccharides are classified on the basis of their hydrolysis. Into three types. They are, the first one is monosaccharides. Second one is oligosaccharides. And the third one is polysaccharides. Now let us discuss one by one in detail. Among them, first one is monosaccharides. The monosaccharides are defined as the carbohydrates that cannot be further hydrolyzed to simpler polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones are called as monosaccharides. The monosaccharides is defined as the carbohydrates that cannot be hydrolyzed further to give simpler polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones is called as monosaccharides. Let us write the definition. The carbohydrates that cannot be further hydrolyzed to give simpler polyhydroxy aldehydes or ketones is called monosaccharides. This is the definition of monosaccharides. Example for the monosaccharides, you can take glucose. Whenever the glucose is added to the water, that glucose cannot give further carbohydrate. So this is the single unit. So this is an example of monosaccharide, only one molecule. And you can take an example of fructose. Fructose is a monosaccharide. Or you can take ribose. Ribose is a monosaccharide. Or you can take galactose, etc. So these are the monosaccharides which cannot be further hydrolyzed to give simple polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones. So these are monosaccharides. The second one is oligosaccharides. The oligosaccharides are defined as the carbohydrates that yields 2 to 10 monosaccharide units on hydrolysis are called oligosaccharides. First, let us write the definition. The carbohydrates that yields 2 to 10 monosaccharide units on hydrolysis are called oligosaccharides. So this is the definition of oligosaccharides. So what is the meaning of this statement? Let us understand by taking an example. I'm taking sucrose, C12H22O11. Sucrose. So upon hydrolysis of sucrose, then the product is C6H12O6 plus C6H12O6. One molecule is glucose, one molecule is fructose. So one glucose is formed, one fructose is formed. So upon hydrolysis of sucrose, so how many number of monosaccharides we got? This is a monosaccharide, this is another monosaccharide. We got 2 monosaccharide units. So the carbohydrate that yields 2 to 10 monosaccharides. In this case, we got 2 monosaccharide units. Some cases we'll get to 3 monosaccharides, in another case we'll get to 4, 5 and so on. So the carbohydrates that yields 2 to 10 monosaccharide units on hydrolysis are called as oligosaccharides. So in the case of sucrose, we got 2 monosaccharide units upon hydrolysis. So based on this hydrolysis, the oligosaccharides further classified into different types. They are, the first one is disaccharides, trisaccharides, tetrasaccharides, pentasaccharides and so on. So this is based on the number of monosaccharide units are formed on hydrolysis. So based on the number of monosaccharide units formed on the hydrolysis, the oligosaccharides are classified into different types. They are, the first one is disaccharides. So already I gave example for disaccharide is sucrose. Sucrose is a disaccharide. Upon hydrolysis of sucrose, we got glucose plus fructose. You can take one more example, maltose. You can write C12H22O11. So glucose formula, maltose formula will be the same, but arrangement structure will be different. This is maltose. Maltose upon hydrolysis will get C6H12O6 plus C6H12O6. Both are glucose. Both two monosaccharides we got upon hydrolysis of maltose will get two monosaccharides, both are glucose only. Suppose you can take lactose C12H22O11 upon hydrolysis. Upon hydrolysis we'll get glucose C6H12O6 plus C6H12O6. One is glucose, another one is galactose. One is glucose, another one is galactose. So upon hydrolysis of lactose, upon hydrolysis of lactose, one product is glucose, another product is galactose. So we got two monosaccharide units upon hydrolysis. So here is maltose, lactose, this sucrose are disaccharides. Upon hydrolysis of upon hydrolysis of sucrose, maltose, lactose, they will give two monosaccharide units. So that they have to call as disaccharides. Second one is trisaccharides. Trisaccharides. So trisaccharides in the sense the oligosaccharides upon hydrolysis will give three monosaccharide units. Three monosaccharide units. We have to call them as trisaccharides. So example, you can take raffinose. You can take raffinose. Raffinose upon hydrolysis it will give one molecule of glucose, one molecule of fructose plus one molecule of galactose. So upon hydrolysis of raffinose, we got one monosaccharide is glucose, another monosaccharide is fructose, another monosaccharide is galactose. So upon hydrolysis of raffinose, we got three monosaccharide units. So that we have to call as a trisaccharide. If the carbohydrate upon hydrolysis we give four monosaccharide units, we have to call as tetrasaccharide. If they give five monosaccharide units upon hydrolysis, we call as pentahydrates, and so on. So the oligosaccharides, the carbohydrates that give 2 to 10 monosaccharide units on hydrolysis are called as oligosaccharides. Next, polysaccharides. This is the third one. Polysaccharides. The carbohydrates which yields large number of monosaccharide units on hydrolysis are called as polysaccharides. The carbohydrates which yields large number of monosaccharide units on hydrolysis are called polysaccharides. Example for the polysaccharides, you can take starch, cellulose. So starch, cellulose, gum, etc. So all these are polysaccharides. Suppose I am taking a starch. So starch is C6H10O5 taken N. So this is general representation of starch or glucose, cellulose. Starch or cellulose. Upon hydrolysis, I am taking NH2O. Then the product is NC6H12O6. The product is glucose. So upon hydrolysis of starch or cellulose, large number of, many number of, I mentioned as n. So large number of monosaccharide units are formed. So the many number of glucose molecules are formed upon hydrolysis of starch and cellulose. So that these is starch and cellulose in example of polysaccharide. The carbohydrates which yield large number of monosaccharide units on hydrolysis are called as polysaccharides. Example for the polysaccharide is starch, cellulose, gum, etc. So this is polysaccharides. Next, monosaccharides further classified on the basis of number of carbon atoms and function group present in them. Classification based on number of carbon atoms, and functional group present in them. In that first one is aldose. If the monosaccharide contains aldehyde functional group, it is known as aldose. If monosaccharide contains aldehyde functional group, it is known as aldose. The next one is ketose. If monosaccharide contains aldehyde functional group is their aldose, ketone functional group is their ketose. The monosaccharide contain ketone functional group or simply ketone group. Ketone functional group or ketone group, it is known as ketose. If monosaccharide contain aldehyde functional group, we have to call them as aldoses, and if they contain a ketonic functional group, we have to call them as ketoses. So let us draw the table for this case. Here is carbon atoms. The second is a general term. Functional group is aldehyde functional group. The second one is ketone functional group. Aldehyde and ketone functional group. Then number of carbon atoms is 3. Number of carbon atoms is in the sense we have to use triose. 3 in the sense triose. If it is 4 is there, then we have to call it as a tetrose. If 5 is there, we have to call as a pentose. 6 is there, hexose. 7 is there, heptose, and so on. You can take many number. So triose, tetrose, pentose, hexose, heptose, and so on. Next, aldehyde functional group is there. If number of carbons is 3, it is triose. The functional group is aldehyde. Then we have to call as aldotriose. If the functional group is ketone, we have to call as ketotriose. If number of carbons is 4, then we have to call as aldehyde functional group. Number of carbons is 4, then we have to call as aldotetrose. aldotetrose. Functional group is ketone, number of carbons is 4. Then we have to call as ketotetrose. Ketotetrose. And the number of carbons is 5. Then we have to call as aldopentose. Aldopentose. This one will become ketopentose. Aldopentose, ketopentose. Number of carbons is 6. Then this is aldohexose. Aldohexose. This will become ketohexose. So the functional group is aldehyde. Number of carbons in the monosaccharide is 6. Then we have to call as aldohexose. And the number of carbon atoms is 6. The functional group is ketone. Then we have to call as ketohexose. Similarly, number of carbons is 7 and the functional group is aldehyde. We have to call it as aldoheptose. Aldoheptose. Number of carbons is 7. The functional group is ketone. We have to call it as ketoheptose. Ketoheptose. So this is the classification of monosaccharides on the basis of number of carbon atoms and functional group present in them. So they are aldoses, ketoses. The functional group is aldehyde. We have to call it as if the monosaccharide contains aldehyde functional group, it is known as aldose. If the monosaccharide contains a ketonic functional group, we have to call as a ketose. So number of carbon atoms and aldehyde and ketonic functional group. 3 carbons is there, functional group is aldehyde, aldotriose. And 3 carbons is there, functional group is ketone, we have to call as ketotriose. Similarly, I am taking last one. 7 carbons is there, functional group is aldehyde, we have to take as aldoheptose. And 7 carbons is there, functional group is ketone, then we have to call as ketoheptose. So this is the classification of monosaccharides on the basis of number of carbon atoms and functional group is present in them. Next, carbohydrates may also be either classified reducing or non-reducing sugars. I'm taking the first one is reducing sugars. Reducing sugars. Reducing sugars. The carbohydrates which reduce Fehling solution and Tollens reagent are called as reducing sugars. The carbohydrates which reduce Fehling solution and Tollens reagent are referred as reducing sugars. Example for the reduced sugars is all monosaccharides. All monosaccharides you can take, they are for example glucose, fructose, galactose, etc. So all these are reducing sugars. The second one is non-reducing sugars. The carbohydrates which do not reduce a Fehling solution and a Tollens reagent are called as non-reducing sugars. The carbohydrates which do not reduce Fehling solution and Tollens reagent are called non-reducing sugars. Non-reducing sugars, example sucrose. Example for the non-reducing sugar is sucrose. So this is the classification of carbohydrates into reducing or non-reducing sugars.